Well, it is 6 o'clock now, and I want to respect everyone's time. And we are Music to Life, and we will be getting started. And thank you again for being here. I'm gonna turn things over to our production manager to share a short video about our program.
Music has the power to speak to our hearts and activate our minds around the issues of our time. Music is a vital tool for building an equitable and resilient future. Music can change the world. Hi, I'm Stookie Sundy, Executive Director and co-founder of Music to Life. Thank you so much for tuning in to learn more about our mission to activate social change through music. Music and social change have always gone hand in hand, and for 20 years, Music to Life has been exploring and supporting music's ability to transform our communities. We produce music programs that foster connection and creativity. We partner with organizations to present educational panels and workshops. And today, we're committed to raising up our amazing network of social change musicians. The artists we work with are change makers who empower and transform their communities through music. Our mission is to amplify their voices and support their work through funding, performance opportunities, mentorships, and other vital resources. Now you'll see Music to Life's mission in action. Get to know these artists. Let them into your hearts and let them inspire you, because this is Music to Life. Thanks again for joining us.
Hi again, and welcome to all of you out there in Swartha land. We're really excited to be here. My name is Leti Bueno, and I am the Program and Resource Manager, Director with Music to Life. And I am your MC this morning. This evening. And we'd like to just give, once again, a very big thank you to Swartha for having us back again this year. And we're just really grateful to them for their support and their collaboration with Music to Life as we launched in 2020 in Texas, our Accelerator program with activist musicians. And we again look forward to expanding our reach in 2022. Just a little bit about Music to Life. We are a national nonprofit, and we were co-founded by Noel Paul Stookie of the 1960s folk trio Peter, Paul, and Mary, and his daughter, our executive director, who you just heard, Ms. Cindy. And Music to Life builds activism through music, and today our premier program, the Activist Musician Accelerator, is the first incubator of its kind for social change musicians. And the Accelerator, what it does most is help musicians step off the stage and into activism by connecting them with all the resources they need, mentors, and the skill building they need to put their music to work in their communities. In this spirit, we're so excited to share with you tonight our program, Voices in Activism, Perspectives from Central and South Texas. With me tonight is our host, Sasha Klare-Ayvazian, who will be talking with our featured artists, Jaime Ospina and Amalia Ortiz. If you could just give a quick wave to the audience so they could see you out there. Thank you so much. Sasha, let me just tell you a little bit about Sasha, our host tonight. He is a 2020 Activist Musician Accelerator graduate with Music to Life, and he's also a lead vocalist for the Austin-based group American Dreamer. Also, Sasha, in his time with our Accelerator program, he was able to found Live Oak Productions, a program dedicated to helping modern day music industry focus on climate change, a very critical need and an area that needs a lot of attention. He's also founder of Music, Movies, and Hoops, an online community based on, well, you guessed it, music, movie, and hoops. And their content promotes and supports social change, equity, and justice. And in his spare time, he is a dad to a baby, a very beautiful baby girl. So Sasha, welcome. Thanks for leading us tonight, and take it away.
Thank you so much, Leti. I'm thrilled to be here. I love Swartha. I love Music to Life, and I love Jaime and Amalia's music. So this is just a joy for me. And as you know, we talk a lot about Swartha feeling like home. I feel like I'm at home, and I am at home. So it's all those things. Now more than ever, the work of social change artists is needed. We continue to acknowledge what an incredibly challenging time this is for us as a country, and we and our communities are hurting economically, socially, spiritually. The work Music to Life is doing is critical because it taps talented artists as change agents who can play an active role in getting us and the communities we care about back on our feet. As part of this effort, Music to Life creates performance platforms and programs like this one to help showcase artists that are doing amazing things with their talent and their social justice work. For tonight's program, Voices in Activism, we'll be showcasing Jaime Ospina and Amalia Ortiz, each of whom is using their music and art as a strategic tool to address head-on the challenges we're seeing all around us. Our first artist this evening is Jaime Ospina, originally from Bogota, Colombia, who has lived in Austin, Texas for the last 5 years. Jaime credits his music education to his travels to Cuba and along the Caribbean coast, where he learned firsthand from important musicians of the Afro-Native Colombian tradition. Since 2001, Jaime has balanced his time teaching high school music, traveling, researching, and his professional, prodigious music career. He's the lead vocalist for the Austin-based Afro-Colombian folk band Superfónicos and collaborates often with Grammy winners Grupo Fantasma and Kiko Villamizar, three of the most important representatives of the Latin alternative music scene in Austin, Texas. Jaime's activism lies in using art to defeat prejudice, using art to make people aware of the wonders of the human spirit all around us, and more specifically, creating access for children to access music at a young age. Jaime, welcome to Swarfa.
Thank you very much. I'm honored to be here. I'm very happy that I'm here, and thank you, Leti. Thank you, Sasha. Thank you, everyone. I'm very happy right now.
Wonderful. I think we're going to enjoy a piece of music from Jaime. Jaime, do you want to introduce it?
This doesn't really have a name. This is spontaneous inventions that I create with my instruments, and it's impermanent music, if you want. It's something that I just create in the spot through improvisation, and then as soon as I turn the looper off, that piece of music is just like in the air, in the hearts of whomever was around. In this case, this was recorded, so it's not impermanent. And yes, you can name this piece of music however it makes you feel in your heart.
Yeah. Yeah, Jaime. That was beautiful,
Thank you.
man.
Thank you. Thank you.
That was gorgeous. Man, I've had a really actually stressful week, and that really soothed my soul. So thank you for sharing your music with us tonight.
Thank you. Thank you.
Jaime, before the interview tonight, I asked you to tell me about the focus of your music and activism today. You responded by saying, quote, "The power of art and music to defeat prejudice, the power of art and music to allow self-knowledge and self-love, the power of music and art to bring awareness about the cultural wonders of the rest of the world." I mean, that's an incredibly beautiful and profound answer. Please share more with us about what that means to you.
Yes, I think we pretty much witnessed it during the civil rights movement in the 60s, how Black American music and white people falling in love with Black American music was like a big part of pretty much defeating racism and allowing white people to witness the wonders and the beauty of African American music. So in my personal situation, the narrative around Colombia, it's been so negative and so ugly, and the whole mainstream media has been portraying Colombia for years as a country of like drug lords and war and conflict, and there's so much more to Colombia than just that. That's pretty much what people around the world knows about Colombia. But if you just like go there and you just like start like traveling around the countryside, you can find like amazing musicians and a wonderful like spirit that manifests in, you know, storytelling and music and food, and the culture of my country is like so rich because it is so biodiverse. To start with, it's one of the most biodiverse countries in the world, and that biodiversity reflects in, like, humans, we're part of that biodiversity. And then there's so many cultures had come together in Colombia, like of course the native Colombians that were there for thousands of years before the Spaniards came, and then the Spaniards came with their own blend of like you know, Arabs and Celtics and Iberians, and then a lot of people from other countries of Europe came to Colombia, like Germans and French people. So on a way, Colombia, it's been like a melting pot. Of course, then Europeans brought the Africans, and Africans brought all their culture. And Colombia is like a wonderful melting pot of all of those cultures. So as a musician in Austin, as a Colombian musician in Austin, that's part of what I do, is just like show the Austin community that the beauty of all those instruments that I was like playing on the video that you just like saw.
That's absolutely beautiful. Can you speak a little bit to how your music and interactions you had have shifted attitudes of people that you've connected with in Austin and beyond in America and Texas?
Yes, sometimes Colombians come to Superphonicos concerts and they're just like amazed that this is Colombian music. Like for many years, Colombians have been like so ignorant about themselves. And I think that's like a big part of a humankind in conflict, is how ignorant we are about ourselves and how ignorant we are of our ignorance. And I think that's the worst part of it. You can, if you are aware of your ignorance, then you are one step ahead of, like, you know, into the light. But if you're ignorant of your ignorance, and it's very sad because especially Colombians in the main cities, they're very, very unaware of the beauty of Colombian culture. And in Colombia, especially in Colombian cities, we've been always, for years, we've been looking up to the United States and the United States culture and British culture and European culture. And we tend to kind of like underestimate a Colombian culture. And part of our conflict as a country has to deal with that. So I have Colombians coming to our concerts and saying like, hey, this is wonderful. This is really the first time that I realized that this is Colombian music. And that's it. For me, music is like a huge tool to make people aware of things, to make people aware of the wonders of like the human spirit and all of that.
Can you tell us more about what you want to make people aware of, especially non-Colombian people? What message do you want to share, and how can we help shift attitudes and increase understanding about your culture?
I think it's time for America to fall in love with the rest of the world.
Beautiful.
I think, and it's happening. It's like the millennial generation. It's a generation of Americans that have been stepping out of the countries, going to other countries, falling in love with people from other cultures. And I am an example of that. My wife was born and raised, she wasn't born in Austin, but she was raised in Austin, and then she went to Colombia, and then she fell in love with me, and then I'm here. And there's like a wonderful thing happening when Americans dare into the rest of the world on a very like open and loving way, and realize that the world is like full of wonders. Every single country has a very special, unique spirit that we need to celebrate.
I mean, you are such a spiritual, wise person. I love listening to it. It's like listening to poetry, hearing you talk.
Thank you.
We're going to take a pause to see another video of your music. I also like to say Jaime's social media links are in the chat. Please support Jaime's music and activism by connecting with his channels. But Jaime, anything you'd like to say to introduce your next piece?
This is a piece that I record in Covington Middle School in Austin. It's the school of my kids. My kids went to Covington in Southwest Austin, and I just like offer my music to the Covington community, and I just like brought my stuff and my instruments and like technology there, and we just record this piece that you are about to see. Once again, it's a spontaneous invention.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Thank you.
gorgeous.
Thank you,
Man,
thank you.
I mean, I really want to speak to the beautiful music you're sharing with us tonight. Please tell us a little about what's going through your mind as you're playing and as you're creating these lyrical lines.
In the end, it's just making the exercise of being actually absent. Like, it's not me, it's the absence of me. It's the void that I create in myself. So to allow the music to just like, you know, go through and come out. Just like you know, if you talk to anyone like that makes music based on like improvisation, it's like allowing the way I just like see it is like we all have like a musical garden based on all the music that we've been like listening through our life, and then we just like express that, and it's all about like creating that space for that music to come out. Like in the end, for me, the flute is like a metaphor of you as a musician. You, if there's not a hole in the flute doesn't sound. In order for the flute to sound, it needs to be empty enough so the air can flow through. So on a way, as a musician, you need to create that void in you and somehow create that like no mind space so your spirit can manifest in, I don't know, your spirit can manifest.
Totally, man.
Yes,
Totally.
that's the way I understand it, if I have to put words to it.
You put beautiful words to it. Jaime, a year ago, I actually interviewed you for my own platform, and you don't know this, but you said something then that I think about all the time, and it's really stuck with me. And the phrase you used at that conversation was "a new dawning." And I interviewed in the heart of COVID, the kind of beginning of COVID, and we were talking about how it was sorrowful and difficult and hard, but at the same time, the world pre-COVID was kind of effed up, if you will. With not fair representation, equity, mistreatment of our planet, mistreatment of our people. And you brought such hope and positivity into my heart, sharing this idea that maybe through this change, through this difficult time, will come out a better people, a better planet. I'd love to follow up with you a year later. Have you seen any sprinklings of that, any inklings of that, any light at the end of the tunnel?
Yes, actually, we've played like probably 3 times post-COVID with Superphonicos, and the people is like you appreciate things when things are taken away from you, and on a way, the fact that people was like deprived from like live music for so long, now people is coming to the concerts like hungry, you know, like open and like way more appreciative of what we do as musicians. So I feel like there's like a spiritual awakening happening. I mean, I want to be optimistic, and I really hope that I feel like people is now more open to change, more open to alternatives, because at this point it's all about like alternatives, new ways to do things, new ways to connect with our audiences, new ways to bring music to the children. That is like a big part of my activism, is actually allowing more children to be in touch with live music. I feel like that's really going to make a transformation on our society. Somehow, the way I see it is like spiritual reforestation through music, through art in general. Like somehow on this whole like effort of like becoming like modernized and contemporary and like technological, there were like pieces of our humanity that we've been like letting behind, that somehow we need to stop and go back and put them back on ourselves. And the part consumer society, I think it's been like a big part of that, like feeding the idea in people's mind that by buying stuff you can be happy, and not by experimenting, being with someone, with people, and like sharing, and the whole like community experience of like sitting around a table and just talking, can be so much more fulfilling than buying the last iPad or the last car. So I feel like, I hope that after this pandemic, people is going to be more aware and open for that.
I do too. I do too. Jaime, we have to wrap up. Thank you so much for everything you shared with us.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Sasha, Leti. Thank you, all of you guys.
I'm going to kick it back to Leti.
Jaime, thank you again for being here and for just sharing your just wise words with all of us. And we look forward to being able to support your hope that music can help transform the children that are here now. And if you want to catch Jaime and you're in Austin, he's, as we said, he's lead vocals for Superfonicos, and they are playing Sunday, October 10th, right? Jaime?
October 10th, ACL.
At ACL. So if you're in Austin, please be sure to go out to his stage. It's at 2, 3 in the afternoon. I'm sorry. I should have that info.
3:30.
Yeah,
3:30.
just hang out all afternoon and catch Jaime at ACL on Sunday, October 10th. And moving forward, as you've heard so far, we are tackling, each of our activists that we work with, they are tackling some huge complex causes. And I think it's fair to assume that you might be wondering, well, how can we even begin to take on some of this work, and what part of Music to Life and the Accelerator program can play in that process? So what I'd love to share with you is if you just take a look at the vision for Music to Life from our co-founder, Noel Paul Stookie.
You know, the 60s, in terms of its potential to galvanize people, seemed so much easier because the issues were so clear, not so diffracted. Nowadays, the issues are so diverse and so competitive almost for your attention that, thank goodness, we have a raft of young singers and songwriters who are addressing each one of these, sometimes in their own communities, you know, whether it's teenage suicide, whether it's homelessness, whether it's whether it's the environmental issue. There's something that happens to an audience, even if it's only 6, 10, 12 people, who, because of music, understand the situation in their hearts and emotionally as a group of people who laugh together or sing together, share a deeper opportunity to be concerned. It's often been said, and I believe, that music unlocks the heart so that the mind can learn. I have a great deal of hope for the future of activist music, as long as those activists are not operating out of a platform of despair. And that's what the exciting aspect, I think, of Music to Life is. Most of these artists see a problem, but they're most hopeful because inherently in seeing the problem is the desire to offer a solution or steps towards a solution. I'm gonna start a revolution. I'm gonna take it to the street. I'm gonna smile at every solitary person that I meet. I'm gonna wave at total strangers, no matter where they're from. I'm gonna start a revolution. Yeah, I'm gonna win it one by one.
As many of you know, in 2019 through 2020, despite and throughout the pandemic, Music to Life worked with artists in Northern New England, in Maine, New Hampshire, and Vermont, and in Texas, which was Austin, Dallas, and Houston. And as part of our activist musician accelerator, we were able to thrive and continue on. So we are so thankful once again to SWRFA for their assistance, especially with our Texas-based endeavors. And I'm happy to report that the results of the program are quite inspiring. Over the course of the year, these artists created fundable, music-driven projects. They tackled issues of youth empowerment, addiction and recovery, and immigration advocacy, among others. Each Accelerator graduate now has a tested pilot of their project. Many have submitted grant proposals, and several are fiscally sponsored and have been highlighted and recognized within their communities. Perhaps as significant, these artists are bringing their enhanced economic and musical value to their communities and are therefore part of the creative solutions that we need as we rebuild the fabric of this country. Moving forward, we're bringing the Accelerator to more communities around the country. We're committed to growing this ingenious program because innovative social change artists like the ones you're meeting today are everywhere, in every community, with incredible ideas for sparking change through music, and they need our help. So Music to Life is finding them, supporting them, and helping them engage in the work of healing that we, our communities, and particularly those less fortunate than us, need so badly. In fact, we're highlighting the artists you're meeting this evening because we are currently raising partnerships and funding for our next Texas Accelerator in the Rio Grande Valley. We plan to work with SWRFA and other partners in Central and South Texas. So if there's anyone out there that would love to get involved with the work that we're doing, as a mentor, as an instructor, as a donor, as a volunteer, please get in touch with us at Music to Life. You'll find our information in the chat throughout this program. And also you'll see that we have an artist tip jar. So if you feel compelled to tip our artists for their time here today, we'd love for you to do that. Please be in touch with us about the work, join our mailing list, donate, and volunteer. Thank you so much. And I'm going to turn it now back over to Sasha.
Thank you, Leti. That was great. Yeah, just to echo those thoughts, Music to Life does profound, wonderful work, and these artists are fantastic. So if you're in a situation financially comfortable or you're all right, help out the people that you can. That would be wonderful. Without further ado, I'm thrilled to introduce our next social change artist from the Rio Grande Valley, Amalia Ortiz. Amalia has appeared on 3 seasons of Russell Simmons Presents Deaf Poetry on HBO. She was awarded the 2020 American Book Award for Oral Literature. NBC Latino listed her book Rant Chant Chisme among, quote, 10 great Latino books of 2015. She is an Alfredo Cisneros del Moral grant recipient and currently has a residency at the National Historic Cultural Center and funded by the National Association of Latino Arts and Culture. I'm impressed. Her latest, to film videos for her latest book, The Canción Cannonball Cabaret. Amalia's activism lies in fighting for justice against discrimination, racism, and the prejudice against the embodied Chicano culture. Welcome to SWRFA, Amalia. We're so happy you're here.
All right, just pull it. I got hooked on the guitar. All right, we had to do a really quick switch over thing with the sound, and then we'll go into the performance. You ready? Check, check. Are we good? Can you hear me? Are you all hearing me? All right.
Yes.
Let's do this. So this first song is from, my background is in theater. This is from a musical I wrote called Carmen de la Calle. It's called Enough Thinking. Enough thinking, time for drinking. Enough thinking, time for drinking. Let's toast Fiesta San Antonio. Enough thinking, time for drinking. Don't ask me why we party, I don't know. We all less thinking and more drinking. Thanks to the order of the Alamo. Don't learn the history behind the party in the streets. Don't question why El Pueblo celebrates its own defeat. Don't question how católicos converted indios. No piensan que perdió o quién perdieron ni quién ganó. Los indios called this land Yanaguana long before the priests renamed it San Antonio de Padua. Los indios were beaten until they spoke their Spanish right. Then the German, Czech, and Irish ran them off because they weren't white. Forget the Texians who stole Tejas de Mexico. No piensan que perdió ni que perdieron ni quien ganó. Don't question social constructs of the rich southern elite. Don't ask, let's just get shit-faced and buy something else to eat. Enough thinking, time for drinking. Compra un funnel cake manteca. It all tastes better with lard. You'll crave it to the grave when all your arteries are hard. Don't ask about corn syrup, just pass the deep fried dough. Don't question diabetes rates, cause you don't wanna know. Don't pass me any veggies, just serve me extra meat. I'll wash down my blood pressure meds with beer after I eat. I'll get the midnight munchies and eat more after that. Flautas gorditas, puffy tacos, no wonder we're fat. No pensamos en que comemos, ni aumentar de peso. No piensa en dieta, solo cúbrelo con queso. And spread on extra mayo to my corn in a cup. It's not fiesta until I see somebody throw up. Enough thinking, time for drinking. Oiga el chicken dance with bailalo. Enough thinking, time for drinking. Let's toast Fiesta San Antonio. Enough thinking, time for drinking. Don't ask me why we party, I don't know. 4 plus thinking and more drinking. Thanks to the order of the Alamo. Let's toast Fiesta San Antonio.
Woo!
All right.
Okay, that was amazing. Oh my goodness, that was such a treat. Your vocals came so clear. I could hear every word, and the words were unbelievable. That was incredible. Thank you. I want to hear the. I want to see the whole musical now. Now I'm excited. Amalia, you know, your singing is beautiful, but you came to your music through the lens of spoken word, and you told me, quote, "My music is my activism." So tell us more about what that means and coming from the lens that you came to this from.
So it's yeah, it's a long road, but I got my undergraduate degree in theater and was exposed. My brother was involved in like the Chicago spoken word scene, so that was like a really big influence. And then right out of college, was working at the Guadalupe Theater here on the west side of San Antonio, and people were telling me, write your own stories. I think especially for Latinos, it's hard to get cast as something other than a maid or a gangbanger. And started writing for local poetry slam. And once I started getting an audience, I felt like a real responsibility when I started realizing people respond to me. So what am I gonna do? I could stand up there and say pretty words or tell jokes, or I could talk about real issues. Mostly I write about the issues that I feel most powerless against. And what I realized is that when I talk about those issues I feel powerless against, usually people come up to me and like, I feel the same way, and that galvanizes an audience to do something to create community. So for me, that's been the most powerful thing, is the times when I feel the lowest, I write about it. And then later, when I'm on stage sharing those moments, it is awesome to see that there are other people who feel the same way, and then to begin to talk about, okay, what can we do to change some of these things?
That was a beautiful, thank you so much for saying that. That was really, really, really excellent. I would love to explore that. Please tell us about what issues you feel the most powerless about and why.
Well, I grew up on the border. The borderland's a small town called La Feria, literally 3 miles away from the Texas-Mexico border. Growing up there was a river. Going back now, there is a really ugly wall. And so the themes that keep coming back to me the most are those of the borderland. I grew up in a bilingual home, and that was because of the economics of the region. My grandmother thought it would be more profitable if I only spoke English, and she would only speak to me in Spanish. And so it felt like this kind of wall developed between the two of us in my own home. So I'm fluent in understanding Spanish, speaking Spanish. It's a little choppy, but I understand everything you tell me. So really that's where it begins. Those themes of also being female, and then female within even the Mexican American culture, to me, that was definitely something that's stayed with me, that I write a lot about, smashing the patriarchy and changing expectations. Definitely the expectations that were put on me growing up as a Chicana in a Mexican-American household. Let's see, I mean, my latest project is the Canción Cannibal Cabaret, and that it was my master's thesis, and so it's like this really dense thing. I mean, it includes themes of like intersectional feminism. It talks about the environment, POC struggles. I reference Black Lives Matter. I reference once again, like gender issues and how gender is a construct. I don't know, it's a lot. You can stop me at any moment.
I'd love to hear more about what feminist issues and platforms you're fighting for, you'd like to see change in globally, and also maybe specifically with the Chicanx community.
Okay, so it's a lot. So
I know. Share, please.
One of the first pieces of poetry theater that I wrote specifically was raising money for the Rape Crisis Center here in San Antonio, and it was a collective of San Antonio poets called Women of Ill Repute Refute. But some of my writing, I mean, I've discussed the femicides in Juarez, and I've gone to actually done a lot of volunteer shows in El Paso, specifically with like UTEP, bringing awareness to that femicide. In the Cancio Cannibal Cabaret, it's set in a post-apocalyptic future where after I kind of hint at an environmental catastrophe that leads to people fighting over resources and wars, and in that kind of aftermath of rubble, women have had enough. They see that wars, like the largest casualties are women and children. And so in this poetry theater piece, the women and marginalized and POC say enough, and they decide to form their own army. And so that army is an army of self-defense, but I reference women's movements. I reference like the pink saris and the Red Brigade. And so these are like global movements of women where they feel like there's no justice in their villages. They take up, they literally take up sticks to like beat off abusers, and out the defensas in central Mexico, where they feel like the police are not doing enough to protect them from cartels, so they've armed themselves. And so I reference like these women movements, hopefully to galvanize women to realize that I think standing together, we have much more power than we do. And that's like globally, you know, women have been, you know, suffering injustices. I reference Boko Haram and the women who are stolen and forced into lives that that they don't choose for themselves, and also places in the world globally where women are not allowed, like in Afghanistan, not allowed into classrooms. And so specifically in Canción Cabaret, I hope that people look at it as the idea of an apocalyptic life is globally happening now. It isn't a sci-fi thing, it's a real thing. But that if women stand together and work together, that we stand more of a fighting chance than we are when we are these like really separate battles.
Thank you for that truth, 100%, 1000%. Amalia, we'd love to hear another piece of music from you. Yes. Can you tell us about what you're gonna play?
I'm gonna do, this is for it's in my Canción Cannibal show, but it's for the folk people. Power in a Woman, after Billy Bragg, after Power in the Blood. Do you need to do something with the audio? Real quick, we gotta do an audio switch over when we play music. This is my husband on guitar, Dr. Kip Austin Hinton. Check, check. Hopefully it's working. Ready? There is power in a family, power in a home, power in the hands of a mother. But we're stronger with our sisters than when we stand alone. There's power in a woman. All the wars of our oppressors demand innocent blood. The mistakes of the machos we must pay for. From the cities and the ranchos to Colonia, Rosebud, divided daughters are conquered in this man's war. Mujeres unidas, defending our rights. Down with machismo, all women unite. With our families and our allies, we will form a righteous plan. There's power in a woman. I'm longing for the day when we are decolonized. Brutality and injustice can't defeat us. But to defend ourselves, my sisters, we must be organized. For the patriarchy exploits and mistreats us. Mujeres rebeldes luchando por la paz. For every mother we rise with our cause. For the orphan, for the widow, not the one. There is power in a woman. Mujeres unidas defending our rights. Down with machismo, all women unite. With our families and our allies, we will form a righteous plan. There is power in a woman. There is power in a woman. There is power in a woman. We're gonna do one more quick punk song. This is 50-Foot Fuji after 50-Foot Queenie by PJ Harvey. When you're ready. Hey, I'm one big Fuji, no wall can stop me. Homeland security plus la migra watching. Threat number one, second to no one. Checkpoint, I'm clean, no wall can stop me. Ask me my name, F-U-N-C-A. 50-Foot Fuji, 50 and riding. Biggest woman I could for 10 sons. New gods, all green, fear and war rising. I'm scapegoat of the world, you can't ignore my song. Come on and measure me, I'm 60 million strong. Choose one country, nation, not free. I'm free for war, cheap labor for harm. Cheap food, cheap goods, not in my hood. Ain't got no ID, no robbers, not me. I'm scapegoat of the world, you can't ignore my song. Come on and measure me, I'm 60 million strong. I'm scapegoat of the world, you can't ignore this song. Dare you to measure me, I'm 50 million strong. 50-Foot Fuji, 50-Foot Fuji, 50-Foot Fuji, 50-Foot Fuji, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Killing. Amalia, through your music and activism, can you tell us about any tangible ways or all the ways that you address the issues and uplift the Chicanx people in the Rio Grande Valley?
Tangible ways. So I've been involved with, there is an organization called Poets Against Walls in the Rio Grande Valley. I would strongly recommend you, if you're interested, just Google Poets Against Walls. But they are specifically people like on the front lines, doing marching and activism at the border wall, specifically because it is a humanitarian issue, but also because it is an environmental issue. There are so many species that are threatened because of this wall, because it's going through migration areas like the ocelot and tortoises and I forget the chakalaka, yeah, birds. But that's one of the organizations I work with. But I don't know, I guess in a broader sense, I'm really like lucky for blessed that I've gotten a national platform coming from a region where these headlines might pop up on the nightly news and then be forgotten. And so I do feel like a burden of representation. I love the place where I grew up from. But I feel like even just speaking bilingually, that is activism, because that's something that it's just a fact of everyday life in the region, and that isn't valued or represented or seen as a cultural strength, even in the region. I don't know, I could go on.
Thank you so much. I think we have to wrap up, though. I'm so sad because I'm loving everything you're saying and loving learning from you and hearing your music. But I think we're trying to honor the hour. But Amalia, we need your music and your message. And honestly, I'm just really struck by your energy and your passion. I'm also a passionate person, and to see people who are so fighting so hard for what they believe in and the work they're doing, it just always kind of gets my fire burning. So thank you so much for sharing with us tonight.
Thank you, Sasha. Thank you, Leti. Thank you, Swarfa. It's been fun.
I think I'm going to kick it back to Leti and sign off. It's been such a wonderful evening with everyone.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone, Sasha and Jaime and Amalia. Oh my gosh, that was such an incredible just representation of artists that we are so grateful to be able to spotlight and highlight and amplify. And wow, Amalia, that was just, I'm from San Antonio, and that first song she sang, it was like the biography of my life, things my grandmother and grandfather said to me, I swear. So I appreciate that. And Jaime, that beautiful piece of music, so inspiring. And it has no name. Like, it lives in my heart. So thank you so much. And Sasha, we are just so grateful for you and being able to interview and have a chat. And I know we could talk to these social change musicians for a long time. And I want to, so I probably will pick up everyone for drinks at some point. But anyway, you know that our work with Music to Life and the Accelerator builds upon this enthusiasm and passion that we see from Jaime and Amalia and Sasha. And it carries forward the activism torch from our co-founders generation. This is really social change music 2.0, because now we're supporting next gen artists of all genres, of all styles, in a new and tactical way. Their activism isn't just happening on the stage or at rallies anymore. It's happening through music-driven programs they're delivering to communities in need. The artists you met this evening, they are living examples, living enthusiastic examples of this new kind of musical activism. They build programs of hope, of inspiration with their community partners and the people they serve. But imagine if their work could just be expanded, if we could empower additional artist change makers to broaden the creative and social justice impact of the music in these areas, specifically the Rio Grande Valley. This is our goal over the next several months. It's so important to provide the support for artists that don't usually get the spotlight, artists who have it within them to make impact and change. We've received initial seed funding from the Embry Foundation. It's an arts and social justice funder, and they're based in Dallas. And as I mentioned, we are seeking collaborative partners and additional funding to bring the Accelerator, our activist musician accelerator, to musicians in the RGV area. If you can help connect us with artists from that area, if you'd be interested in becoming, like I said, a mentor or an instructor to any of these artists, or if you can help us identify partners or allies in the Rio Grande Valley, or donate as you can find the link in the chat. And you should be able to see that now. You'll also see a link to the artist tip jar if you'd like to just hand over a little bit of a tip, like you were at a live show, to these really great artists. Please feel free to do so. We are, once again, just want to say thank you so much for the good work that you've done, just supporting artists and being here at SWRFA. Again, one last thank you to Sasha. Also, I know Cheryl's in the crowd. She's one of our Music to Life alumni. And we just want to keep growing our Accelerator alumni. And we're just really grateful for each activist musician's continued social change work. Again, special thank you to Amalia and Jaime for the passion and their presence and the good work in their respective communities that they're doing. You can stay connected to these artists that you heard here today by following them on social, or even supporting them, again, by donating to either their Venmos or their artist tip jar. Check out their socials in the chat, follow all their good work that they're doing. We just love it. And thank you to the audience. You're great today. You're such a supportive crowd this afternoon. I hope you enjoyed the music. And SWRFA, Dallas and Brian and everyone at SWRFA, thank you again for your ongoing support and partnership. Please keep in touch with all of us. With Music to Life, the artists you've seen today, visit their socials, check them out. If you see them playing near you, go hear them. It's worth it. And together we can keep the music and the impact growing. Please be safe out there. Take good care. Be well and keep standing strong. Have a great night, everyone. Bye.
Bye. Thanks, Leti and
Thank
Sasha,
you.
Amalia, and Jaime. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
It was a joy, guys. Thank you very much for having me.
Also, thank you to Calvin, our production manager. Didn't mean to leave you out. You're incredible. Thank you for everything. Bye, everyone. Have a great evening.